Alright, we have moved on to Ice. Starting off with Al Halaim, back up 2 cost. Dull, put Al Halaim into the break zone during this turn. If a character enters the field by your opponent's summons or abilities, remove it from the game instead. I love this. I love this so much.
It's
FF
it is
TCG
good.
and it's a tech back.
My only problem is the fact, like, it is really good, but I can't help to be upset with the fact that it didn't come out 5 opuses earlier, because I had so many Wind Ice ideas to do with, like, I just needed a good FFCC backup to search off Nostalon that was Ice. This is it, but now that deck is useless, so there's a little bit of saltiness there, but also I love the card. It's good.
I don't think.
Don't worry.
I think when we get to the hybrid colors, that color cycle might not be useless.
Well,
yeah.
there's also now just
no.
We have too many good cards now.
Yeah, Ice Wind, don't get me wrong, is still good, don't worry. But the idea I had in like Opus 10, this fixes, but now the deck is bad. Ice Wind is incredible, don't get me wrong. That is like, we'll get to that, but yeah,
we will get to Ice Wind. Don't worry.
Yeah,
but
I'm
as
saying,
far as
but I'm saying that Nostalon searching for this, that alone is a good thing to keep an eye on and remember.
Also, I just want to make an important note that the actual text box on the card, like being able to just say, "Oh, let's just say no to those." Let's just say no to like cheating things into play, and there are some things that must play a card, and it's not just that. It's not just forwards or back. It's not just forwards. It's characters. If you could turn your, like, for example, let's use the Ramza that we had earlier. If we can turn that Ramza into just choose one backup, like choose one card name Al Hanalim and break it, that immediately sets your opponent's game plan back, like, so far.
I also, as good as this card is, I'm trying. Where am I? Sorry.
I feel like this card is close. Like, it's got the right element, it's got the right category, it's got the right text box, but adding it all together.
The worst thing is, yes, I don't think this card actually makes the cut of Ice Wind. Because you don't want to put backups into the break zone. Ever.
Honestly, I would probably run this as just a singleton. Because you don't want to keep on searching.
Uke's better though. Uke's better though. For the deck, because it stays in play, it draws you a card. Like Al's fine. I love the card. It's a great card, but it's not in the Ice Wind list. I don't think.
You know, it doesn't have to play a card. Luso.
That is true. Luso doesn't have to play the card. But let's
just move on.
Shift it along.
Yeah, good card, but yeah, we'll see.
4 cost twice. When your opponent discards 1 or more cards due to your summons or abilities, choose one character, dull it, and freeze it. Damage 5 when Vice gains plus 1k power. Vice cannot be chosen by opponent's summons or abilities. 8k. I love this dude.
Alright, so this card will speak with the Nero of the because they're basically a package. The Nero is 4 cost backup, EX burst. When Nero enters, you search for a Vice and add it to your hand.
I'm gonna look up the Nero now.
Yeah. Yep. And when a card named Vice enters the field, your opponent discards a card. So Vice and Nero work together in tandem. Having another card which punishes your opponent whenever you force a discard, like, because we've got Biblos as well, like having another one which just says
and character. Like, it says character, which I love.
Exactly, and I feel like that's actually quite relevant. But whether or not this it's going to be another story. Like, for at the very least for ice cards, I feel like this pairing is another close pairing.
Yeah, I feel like
it's nearly there.
I feel like, personally looking at these, I'm looking at them going, there is nothing better here than Opus 1's Core Laguna. I think it's a 2-card combo that doesn't do enough. Like, they don't. actually really do anything. The fact that it's choose a character, they'll freeze it. That's cool. But it is literally reprints of Squall Laguna. One of them's a backup, so that's like it.
I will make an important note though that Nero is searchable off of Restrictor.
Yeah. It's
but Squall Laguna was searchable off Renoa backup, but a better Renoa existed, so it wasn't worth playing anymore. So yes, I don't think they do enough to make them worth it. I think they're just a cute card combo like the original ones. They aren't really going to impact the game. A mono ice deck might play them with the Aerith to recycle the waste, but like if you have an Nero out, you have a Nero out. So,
well, on the same token, Ice Lightning has been missing a consistent backup engine forever. Now it has it.
Yep.
No, it hasn't. We've had Reeve Cake Sith since Opus 11. And I don't think this fits into Ice Lightning purely because it takes up way too much space to do nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, fair call from that perspective. I'm just thinking, like,
I understand.
On play, if Nero was EX Burst on play, search for a Cat 7, we might be talking. But at this point as well, Nero being an EX Burst backup that searches for one specific card name, you are not running more than 3 Whis in the deck, which means you probably shouldn't run more than 2 Nero per deck just because there's no point having EX printed on him.
Yeah, there are 2 card name Vice in the game right now, and one of them was in Opus 2.
Yeah, I don't see much for these, but there'll be someone at locals running it because they like the duo, which is fine. It does things. Just things do it more efficiently, like Idlos, like Hope. But people don't play Hope. Barrel Eye, people don't play Barrel Eye. Like, they're both doing these things, but
I'm gonna force this until I get bored.
So 1 week, gotcha.
Yeah. I can last longer than that sometimes. Alright, next one. 2-cost Quistis. Forward 5k. Quistis enters the field, choose 1 forward until end of turn. It gets plus 2k power. When this forward attacks, your opponent randomly discards 1 card.
Randomly is good, but we also got that last set and no one ended up playing it.
Yeah.
In a multiplayer.
There's also a better version of this in the set.
I like the text box. I don't like that I have to tie it to another forward that has to attack.
Yes.
Yep.
It also... Yeah, the other card that does this in this set is just better on all levels.
Yeah. The only thing you play this in is...
The whole, if it attacks, just choose a knight. I guess if you want to play Ice Fire Knights, this actually helps that because Laswell goes, if a knight attack, do a thing, so Quest just adds more value to that, but that's it.
Yeah. I would find out, like, you don't even want to run this in Cat 8 because you have a very good Quistis in Cat 8 already, so... It's just more of Cat 8 suffers because they keep putting all of the good names on, like, 3 characters.
So close, but ever so far.
Oh, well. We'll get them next time.
Next.
Yeah. Kukaspel, 2-cost forward EX, 5k. When Kukaspel enters the field, each player selects 1 card from their break zone, adds it to their hand. Then each player discards 1 card.
Alright. Hear me out on this one. How many times have you gotten all of these amazing when your opponent discards a card effects and they're empty-handed? Kuchaspel allows you to force a discard effect to occur.
May I counter that?
Because each player has to pick something up, then each player has to discard a card.
May I counter
it does add value to Biblos. It is Biblos. This card and Biblos are running off in the sunset together, but that's...
I disagree.
This Orphan and Biblos, they're
And I guess Vice if you really want to do Unlimited.
Here's the problem. If they have any set of backups untapped, they are grabbing a summon, casting it, specifically...
No, they're not, because you have to resolve the skill in full.
Yeah, no. Oh...
Because the thing has to resolve in full, so they pick up the card and discard it immediately. They can't cast a summon in response to the discard.
I'm wrong. Okay, I'm turned around on this.
Okay, but I will point out, on turn 1, this is Thaumaturge. Every turn after that, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Unless you're running, like, Mist Dragon, I guess.
No, I still disagree with that. Like, being able to force all of these, like, when your opponent discards a card procs, because what's the best way to counter discard? Be empty-handed. so you don't get all of the discard procs. If you've got a card which forces them to pick up a card to discard it, then you get all of the discard procs, and it's EX burst as well, which is actually quite relevant.
My problem is I don't even think you need it because, like, if your opponent's empty-handed, sure, you're staring down like Biblos, Orphan, Physalis. What do you do against that to begin with?
Yeah, but if you need to get that final swing in and get those last few taps and dull freezes, and they go, I empty my hand and hold up my defenses while on 6 damage, this could get you through that final damage.
And you just swing Physalis.
At that point, every card could. Drawing another copy of Physalis for a S does that.
Yeah, it's premium Bullum.
Yeah.
You like, and
I'm
you can
still-
also run like Sheep.
Yeah, but here's the other problem. There is another Physalis in this set.
Yeah, and you're running them both.
You
Yeah,
are
but
running
what if
both
you have
of them,
the other
I'm not
one
gonna
out?
lie.
Yeah, but if you have...
Then
Yeah,
you just-
I am as well, but I'm talking about what if you don't have that.
Then, well, yeah, that just adds even more fuel to my fire because you can go, okay, I can just do the thing and dig for an answer. Then I'll have my answer because my deck's uber consistent. So
It's also on the note of the other Physalis. A pseudo buff she has is the fact she's card named Physalis. Your opponent is not blocking her.
yes,
Like,
unless they absolutely have to.
yes. At which point you go, haha, here's the other Physalis. Your board is dead. Discard your hand, please.
I'm also like another reason why I'm relatively high on this card as well is if you are running a deck that happens to have a couple of light or dark cards that are clogging up your hand, you can just discard the light or dark card.
Yeah, that's not. I mean,
I know it's
fine,
not.
but
I
that's
know
not
it's like
really
much of a
powerful
muchness.
because if you have 4 cards in hand and 3 of them are light cards, if your opponent doesn't know that, they're scared because you have 4 cards in hand.
Yes.
So it's I think the first point you made with the making your opponent have a card in hand to discard, that is more relevant because there are cards like Hope and Barrel Eye as well.
Yeah.
Albeit dual color. But like if you have Biblos out and Orphan, Hope, Barrel Eye, you move to your attack step. Your opponent discards a card, you dull freeze a character, you dull freeze a forward, and then you dull another character, which then gets frozen by Hope. Like, Kuchaspel forces that to happen at the start of your attack phase. So, well,
Yeah.
not at the start of your attack.
And
Kuchaspel
just-
forces
just
it to happen in your main phase 1.
And just
Yeah.
to be fair, even though I agree with Blood Fist, it's another 2-cost 5k in a deck full of 2-cost 5ks that just are so susceptible to death.
I don't think you're
power
putting
doesn't
this in
matter
a
right now.
night deck. Yeah.
No, like
Yeah.
you're playing this in mono ice, which is just a bunch of 8Ks.
Yes,
If it's
and,
really
yeah.
that big of a problem as well, the solution exists of playing the 1k buff backups because 5k, it's easy to deal with. 6,
Slightly harder.
6 is easier to deal with. Is as easy to deal with as a 7 or 8k. It goes 5k, 9k,
9K.
anything in between there. They're much the same. They're the same.
Yeah.
So buffing it by
Either way.
1k. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Fun card. I'll be mucking with this in a Hope Barrel Eye Orphan deck, but it's
I have
I
high
don't think
hopes
it'd
for
be
it. I have high
competitively.
hopes for it now that I understand it better.
I'll be surprised if it gets there. I won't be surprised if it doesn't.
This is the ice cycle of the cycle cards. Moving on.
the third best one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Ice
the water
one.
one, the fire one, then this one, because you can use fire ice crystals. So, ta-da.
Yeah.
Now here's the boy I was talking about. 3-cost Crystal Monster. When Crystal enters the field, your opponent randomly discards 1 card. 0-cost Activate. Krista becomes a 8k forward. You can only use this ability if your opponent has 2 or less cards in their hand, and once per turn.
So you're never turning this into a forward on your opponent's turn, but
You'd be surprised.
Unless you have them empty-handed.
Yeah,
like,
you'd be
every turn.
surprised.
if you get them empty-handed, then
This dude got me
You're winning
4
the game.
damage in 1 game.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's less about how easily we can activate it and more that this is on enter random discard.
Yep. AK body's a
Again.
bonus.
Again, same thing with last set we got the Scholar. which is a standard unit multiplay, which this isn't, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
Standard unit multiplay, 3 cost. On enter, your opponent randomly discards. I gave that a lot of credit at the start of the set, and I found it never making the cut. I think Chris is the same.
I've been using that now to test out a little bit. This is better because it protects itself. It's an 8K when you want it to be. And
Yeah, but you also don't care about protecting a multiplayer standard unit generally.
Yeah,
this is a not multiplayer card. Like that's the biggest problem is if you have one out, you can't play another. Therefore, that, like, yeah, being multiplayer is huge right now. I think.
If I had a nickel for every time we had a Cat 8 card that mentioned random discard in the set, I'd have 2 nickels. Isn't a lot. It's weird that it's happened twice though.
I don't know. I think this is a lot better than it's getting credit for.
It's a Cat 8 character, so Fame is good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the old Squall and Renoa get cost reduced off it. Yeah.
And then it becomes a.
It's not necessarily a bad card. Like red, like you'd be surprised how, like, discard is annoying. Random discard is extremely annoying. Like, I feel like random discard is more annoying than getting thought seized because at the very least, like, your opponent has the decision. Taking the decision out of both players' hands, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always the best card.
Yeah, but it's one of those ones that, which is why I think Scholar didn't end up seeing play. It's one of those ones where you dropping a Scholar, absolutely 100%. Random discard takes so, like, it's such a better thing until they discard the card they would have discarded anyway.
Especially if they're down to 2 cards and they're just trying to protect one and hold the one they need, and then going 50-50 shot, you're losing the one you don't want to lose.
Alright, so hear me out on this one. Scholar didn't see play because of the additional cost attached to the random discard. This is just a straight random. This just has a straight random discard.
Yeah, but it's a 3 cost.
It's the same cost. They're both the same cost.
Yeah. This is that cost.
Yeah.
And Scholar's a multiplayer. That's what I mean. I'm like, this is just a worse Scholar, and Scholar didn't get played.
But
it's a monster, so
yeah. The monster thing is what turned it around for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorites. So this is part of the exile from your bin cycle. 1 cost Shiva. I'm just going to read it this way to make it simple. Choose 1 forward, dull and freeze it. Pay extra by exiling 10 of its color. Break it instead.
Now, this is a card that I would pay the extra 10 cards for.
You probably won't. Most cards don't want to be broken. Dull freeze is the second best thing. Like, if you dull freeze something like Susanoo, like a 1 cost deal with Susanoo for 2 turns. Like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will rarely remove cards. This goes in. Probably doesn't go in every ice deck.
I heavy played this.
It is a very, very good ice summon.
I heavy played this weekend and on Octagon a little bit. I don't care which mode I'm using. I'm enjoying this. Like, I dull freeze. I am fine with that. Oh, I have the opportunity to kill and it's the better option at this point.
Yes.
Use it.
Yep.
And I love that versatility. That's why I think this is a really good
same with the Leviathan as well, is that Leviathan, you're probably never returning the 10. But the one time that it's relevant, that's enough to do it.
Like
Shiva, you probably won't be removing 10. But when you do...
And
I'm more speaking from the perspective of, like, I'll be honest, I'm probably never removing 10 cards for any of the summons, but this is the one that I would be happy to do it for.
And I would like to note the cards that I did do the exile for. They were Barrett and Garland. Yeah, Garland. The fire one. The break something, sack a backup. I think it's Galbraith.
That can't be broken. No, that can't be dealt damage. Yeah, you probably do it on that.
Yeah, that's
my thing is for mono ice, we finally have a second good ice summon.
Yes. It is also a 1 cost ice summon, which I can't remember why, but I feel like that's relevant. Something to do with 1 cost summons.
That would be the Opus. That would be the Opus 11 standard unit Black Mage, where you can sack it, like pay X, sack it to cast the summon, but you keep the summon in your hand.
Yeah, by paying X. So you pay 1, and then you cast either this or Zolera, and then but I think
Also Shiva.
Like-
It's a Shiva, which might be relevant, but I don't think
It's relevant if you play the Opus 15 Shiva,
Yeah.
which if you do, more power to you. I love how you operate. But this, at the very least, deals with everything that Zalera can't. Doesn't specify Dull Forward either, so very good.
Yes. It's just and something else that Ice doesn't have much of.
Yeah.
Break.
But again, this is all dependent on how good Mono Ice is.
Yeah.
Actually, something that makes it okay-ish again for locals, like the fact that this couples he played. It's a one-cost summon, so the Terra finally has another decent summon to reveal off. Like you can actually play Mono Ice Terra now, maybe-ish, kind of.
Yeah, maybe.
That's if you go the
This
Shiva,
votes-
cycle, which could be
No, you
good.
don't
I
even
don't
use
know.
the Shiva.
You just
Like-
run the whole Shiva lot with the
Yeah.
Terra, and you're like, yay, I'm doing what
yeah.
Terra
Yeah, I'm not
wanted
saying
to
that's
do,
the
but-
only deck that can use that Terra. I'm just saying that's probably the biggest option one.
Even
it's
just
probably
this
the only-
votes Zalera Carbuncle. You could probably get away
Well,
with it.
hear me out. I was thinking something along the lines of Fire Ice Braska as well, but I don't know how I would form that. That's still one of the just fun ideas in the back of my head.
Yeah,
Teus the
therein lies
Corrupt,
such-
let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2-cost Chime, backup. FFCC, I will note that, which is important. Dull, choose one forward until end of turn. It gains 1k power on first strike. You can only use this ability if your opponent has one card or less in their hand.
So the relevant part that you said, the FFCC part, that's
Yeah.
the only relevant part on this card.
Yeah.
in which
See,
we've
I'll
got
handle
Al
'em.
and Lem just said.
Yeah.
So,
This is a
Yeah,
better
so
version.
we don't need to worry about this one. We
Yeah.
can move it on.
No, I agree. Just I was pointing that out for that relevance.
I guess you could say you chimed in.
Theodore, 9 cost, 7k. Warp 2 Ice. If your opponent has
yeah,
2 or
this
less...
is a good warp card.
This is what... Yeah,
Sorry.
this is the...
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm with you. This thing, every time I warped it, my opponents were like, just fuck. Like, I warped it and they were scared. If your opponent has 2 or less cards in hand, Theodore gains 2k power, haste, and first strike. When Theodore enters the field, your opponent discards 2 cards. If Theodore entered due to warp, they discard an additional 1. Those are 2 separate abilities. You can only AMI one of them. Smart people only AMI the 2 discard 1. But yes, those are 2 separate abilities. I want
Amy
that
the
noted.
warp, but it's okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
know what I mean, but
Yeah, but
yeah.
The thing is, this is actually like if you warp this is actually a card that you don't care that it gets Amaterasu because it's just like you're discarding a couple of cards anyway. I
Yeah,
don't
No, but
care.
you're not because no, you're not because it never enters. The warping in is what gets Ami'd.
no,
I
as in
know.
like you're
I know,
getting
but
rid
it's
of a
still-
card to play.
But they're
Yeah.
still losing at least 2 cards to do it, so I don't care.
At which point he gains a 2k. So if your opponent just straight pays 9 for this, and you Ami it, the best case is Theodore stays in play.
Yeah, but we're talking about if
Like-
if you warp this, they AMI the warp trigger. They're basically discarding at least 2 to 3 cards anyway. So even though you lose the forward, you still got your net gain of empty hand.
Yeah, that's
That's
I
the point that I'm
can't
getting
agree.
Yeah,
at.
that's what I was trying to
you
say.
you
Yeah.
paid the 2 ice and discarded Theodore, so you paid 4 to have them pay 4 or 5.
Which in
So
ice is
I-
okay.
Yeah,
I will
that-
say
it's not even 4. It's at least 5, maybe even 6, to prevent them from losing 6 CP. So they either lose 6 CP or they lose 6 CP. So you're ahead no matter what.
And you can
I
dull
will
2
say
backups for this
this
as well.
though. This is one of you know how we spent all that time on Kuchaspol talking about how these like Orphan, Biblos,
Yeah.
Vice are really good, but they need your opponent to discard cards. This doesn't care what your opponent did. If you made them ditch 3, cool. If they ditch their hand to try and deal with this, okay, he's still a 9k first strike haste.
And
I'm going to point out one more very, very relevant part of this card that nobody seems to have mentioned yet.
He's a black mage. I was
He's
about
a
to
black
get to that.
mage.
that was the next part I was going to make.
Yeah.
He's a black
So,
mage.
Not
Like,
as
you're not
relevant as I want it to be, but
Yeah.
like you have better you have enough black mages. I don't think
You have
it,
enough black mages,
I
especially
don't think you're
in
playing it
colours that
because
you're
it's a
already
black
playing.
mage. I think the fact that it is a black mage is neat, but you're
No,
not playing it because it's a black mage.
let me have my Ice Lightning Black Mages, damn it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
But
I
it
wanted to
already
do that as well.
exists. You
I
already
don't
have
care.
all of the
Let-
black mages and the Sierra
But that,
one cost lightning card.
but that deck,
She's
let
better
me
than
have
Theodore
my
for
fun.
that
but
effect.
that
I
deck
will
is
Let me have my fun,
But
damn
that
it.
deck is not complete until it is 100% black mages, though.
No, counterpoint. When can we get Job Dark Knight support?
I actually will agree with
please,
that.
I beg.
Yeah, and there's something else I want to note about.
Yeah, we've already got that though. It's called Cecil.
Yeah, but like actual support.
And something I want to.
Cecil.
Something I want to quickly say about Warp in general, not just this card, but Warp in general. Having something in Warp, your opponent knowing when it's coming in and having to hold on to Ami and the cost for Ami, means they're not doing their normal plays that they would have normally done that turn. That threat of, you need to deal with this at this time, are you willing to reduce your power on one turn, I think is also a relevant tactic and thought that needs to be.
That is also a good point as well, of because it is telegraphed and because it is known exactly what is happening, if your opponent has cards in hand, it is Ami. If not, they have played around Theodore. Ta-da, you get a 9k, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
you get yourself a 9k.
They either have
first
Ami to
case.
say no, or you get a 2-cost card that took you 2 turns, which, against the right decks, like, if that's also I'd like to point out personally, I think about Warp. Warp seems fun. Warp seems like a nice ability. It seems way too late. Because
I will say, I can agree.
I might be regurgitating Chris's words, Matisky, but something along the lines of, if Mono Wind gets to turn 4, it's unbeatable. Warp 2 turns. If you aren't turn 1 Theodoring, he is useless. Like, if you aren't paying that warp cost turn 1, Theodore is useless, because Mono Wind sits there and goes, okay, it's turn 4, I win. Theodore enters, you're like, cool, I'll chop. Like, what do you? Okay, cool. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I think this is just Warp in general, not Theodore specifically.
No. Yeah,
that's
what I mean. Like,
that's why I wanted to move it on to, like,
2 turns. Like, that is massive in the game right now. Like, Mono Fire, if it doesn't win in 4 turns, it probably doesn't win.
Unless
Mono Wind, if it doesn't die in 4 turns, it probably wins. Like, like Warp, as in general, like 2 turns, that is half of the game. That's a lot. That is a lot.
Very honest.
But yeah, just, I mean, I won't be surprised to see Warp do a thing, and like Luna Freya especially. If Luna Freya ever resolves, it's cool, awesome. You draw cards, good job. But I think we're at a point in the game where even Mono Wind is like, you just gave me 4 turns, cool, you draw 3, but I'm so far ahead, I do not care.
I think we'll just have to. I think it'll come down to how the meta shapes.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
It's a card you'll have to plan for. It's a card you'll have to plan for. Like,
yeah.
Irrespective of anything, you can't really play around him. Is the best part.
That's why I think this is probably one of the better of the warps. All right. 5-cost Nuge back up. When Nuge enters the field, choose 1 dull forward, break it. Your opponent discards 1 card. I feel I've seen this before. Have we not seen this before?
We have. It was called Skiller, and it saw no play despite being.
Isn't there also an EX burst version of this?
No.
Yeah, it's called Mustadio, and that's a French favorite. But I digress.
Can I also, sorry,
Opus 6 called They Want Their Hades Back.
Yeah. I do also just want to reiterate with Warp as well. The only benefit I've seen so far of Warp. Sorry to go back.
No, it's alright.
I've had a pet deck for a while, and it is water ice crystals, using the Leviathan to stack high-costed cards and cheating them in with Setzer. Warp fed that deck so much. Like, Theodore isn't getting warped entry, and I'm not paying for it. Theodore is entering for free because of Setzer. Like, Leviathan is stacking that card. That's
Trust this man.
another
He
hidden
wants
order.
Setzer to work beyond everything else. Like, we have more than Leviathan now. It's so good.
This is a locals deck.
In my defense,
it's really fun.
In that defense, I've been shoving Setzer into stuff just because will it work here? Nope. Aw.
Unfortunately.
We've done Nero.
We've done Nero.
5-cost Hien. 8k forward. Cannot be broken by opponent's summons or abilities that don't deal damage. When he enters the field, choose up to 4 characters, freeze them.
I hate this, by the way. You keep calling Hien Hein and Hein Hien.
I know. I paused literally because I couldn't remember which one it is, and then went, fuck it.
I digress. This line of text, I still hate this line of text. Hobby Japan, why do you keep localizing it like this? Just say it can't be broken, and then in brackets, if it would be dealt damage greater than its power, put it in the break zone. Like, card's fine though. Like, freeze 4 characters pretty good.
I think they at some point need to accept like Magic to just do indestructible as a keyword sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Or make a keyword sort of, yeah.
Yeah. Hain's interesting because I read him as he's got good effects. He has good text. Like, his text is beautiful. I think the first line of text is more relevant than what people generally perceive. Like, that's
Him being
that's
a 5
actually really
cost,
good.
like, that's pretty highly sought after in terms of break.
That's the thing. He is a 5 cost 8k, so below curve, but his effects mitigate that, so that's fine.
Mhm.
But he is a mage cat 3, neither of which is relevant, searchable, or at all a thing.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like it.
Yeah.
He's a big costed guy with a big effect, but he's like Sephiroth. He enters the field. If he gets away with it, yes, he's busted. If your opponent Ami's Hien, a bad card. Like, what? No.
Yeah, pretty much.
But,
I like the
I don't
art.
like it.
I like
He is
the
a
art.
mage, neither black nor white. It's unfortunate.
yes.
I think I wrapped it up nicely. I like the art.
Yes. Yeah,
Got a
I
good
like the
floor.
art and I like the text. I just don't like its appliance in the games.
Oh, mate, I'm so good.
Well, speaking of good
Application,
cards,
I think the word is.
and,
Application. Thank you.
yeah.
When you think about appliance, all I'm thinking about is, do I need a new fridge?
A fucking toaster.
Is it running? You better go get it.
Yeah, better go catch it first.
So I know this one's going to bring up a lot, so I need to BRB after I read this. I'll let you guys have fun with it. 2 cost Physalis, FFB forward 5k. If you have 1 or less cards in your hand, Physalis gets plus 3k power. Very relevant. Discard 1 card. Remove the top 2 cards of the deck from the game. You can cast them at any time you could normally cast them this turn. You can only use this ability during your turn once per turn. Also, you can still cast those cards even if Physalis is gone.
Just so long as that's before the end of the turn.
Can I also point out, you said that we'd have a lot to talk about this card before you left. I'd just like to say, no, we won't. Card is good. Card has a great name. Card has a great ability.
It's a great job.
10 out of 10.
Card-
Next.
Card has a great job as
All
well.
right.
Yeah, being
Yeah,
a knight.
next. Like, it's
Alright.
incredible
Yeah.
good. Yep.
All right,
Next.
I'll wait till the
Okay.
next amazing card then.
Its
Yeah, cards
ability
are
is
hyper
discard its ability reads discard 1 card, draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
And
What?
at the end of the turn, remove it from the game. Like,
I don't
the
care about that bit.
Solarium. I love the Solarium.
4 costs Rune Fencer, forward 8k. When Rune Fencer enters the field or attacks, you may pay 1 ice. When you do so, choose 1 forward, dull it, and freeze it.
Opus 3 called. They want their Genesis back.
Yeah, it's like,
Although it's funny
They
that
called
this
they
is
want their
actually better than
Kuja back, bro.
fucking Kuja, Genesis, hell,
Lock.
Lock.
Like,
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
about
Lock.
to say Lock.
Okay. I gotta. I'm on the fence about this one.
you
I-
ruined me.
Unfortunately,
I know
damn
I
it! I was
do.
gonna say that. I was gonna say, but the fence was ruined.
Yes.
So,
I guess it's
I-
multiplay and Cat 11 standard unit. They're relevant things, but nah.
Yeah.
I do
Can't
like
bad
that
move.
it's ETB and attack trigger.
Great
But
limit.
Do you know what might have made me feel a little bit different than this if it was a 3 cost standard unit for the backup? But even then, there's no deck that does that in ice.
Yeah.
Like, if I could have
It's wild.
cast this off the backup and then paid the 1 extra when it enters from bin, maybe I could have gone, I could use this potentially? Yeah. 2 cost Phantasmal Girl, forward 5k mannequin. When 1 or more job mannequin forward you control are chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, you may pay 2. When you do so, cancel those effects.
This is missing one very important 5 words. Or lightning card name X death.
Yeah.
That being said, this is still the 3rd best of this bunch of mannequins. Not for nothing.
3rd best.
Yeah. That's the thing about ice. It's always 3rd best.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like this particular mannequin. I know it says that you have to pay the 2 rather than your opponent has to pay the 2 like Cecil does, but having something that's 2 CP to just say, 2 CP, cancel target, summon or auto ability targeting a mannequin you control, that's
More.
kind of relevant.
I mean, it works. You're going to play it. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's just that, like, I wish this was either bigger or protected X-Stat.
Yeah.
I think also another point is it's fine. If you're playing mannequins, you're playing this, but this is not reason enough to play mannequins, therefore
kind of just there.
Oh, I agree from that perspective. You're not going into mannequins to play this card. That's like going into mannequins to play the Cloud of Darkness mannequin from Opus 13. That's a very good card, as we both know, or as we all know. But you're not playing a mannequin deck just to play that card. You're playing a mannequin deck for all of the other mannequins as well.
That being said, if down the line we get a lot of support for the 2-cost mannequins, because there are a lot of 2-cost mannequins, if they supported them as much as we got like support for the 4-cost mannequins with like X-Death and stuff, I would actually like this a hell of a lot more. As it is, you'll play it, you just won't feel good about it.
Wait, isn't is it Golbez the search for 2 costs? Play him onto the field when he dies?
Yes.
So you got a bunch of
one in each color now of mannequins.
Yeah, we've got 4. Let's go.
All multiplayer. All multiplayer.
Yeah, this Imaginary Soldier, Counterfeit Youth, and I guess Ephemeral Vision, like if you really want to do.
Look, all I'm saying, bro, is if next week at locals you aren't playing this, I'm going to be very upset.
Don't you worry. I've got it in the pipeline, bro.
Yeah, no, I've got a list there.
I've got like 7 lists, my dude.
Yeah.
What do you take me for? Someone who
I haven't got one prepped up just yet, but now that we're talking about it, I do want to do that X-Death Golbez list.
Yeah, it just means they're now, I guess, relevant targets that
there we go.
do more than their text.
Big bad guys in armor that happen to cast spells. Tribal. Let's go. Let's do it.
They're crystal friends.
Yeah, they're crystalline friends.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Back.
This is how we do life now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Oh, we're moving on?
Well, yeah, we've talked about Phantasmal Girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Yuna, forward 7k. When you enter the field, your opponent selects one forward they control. Dull it and freeze it. Dull and freeze all other forwards they control. Great Whirl Special, 2 generic, 2 ice. Choose one forward, deal at 8k damage. You may dull active Yuna. When you do so, use this special again without paying its cost.
Hate this.
This card, this is just another one of the... I want to like this card. It's just like, I'm going to sweep your board, everything except for that. And then, like, there's enough ice, dull freeze to do stuff with it. Like, to get rid of that last one.
So
I want to like this card so much.
I'm on the opposite end. I dislike this card a lot, but it saved me in a game, and I don't know if that situation makes it worth it. I was dealing with opponent. Well, okay, I was dealing with a situation where I couldn't kill the board or wipe the board. This got me the swing I needed to win.
I don't really like this. Just
I had to play this over a Susano to win.
Your opponent selects. I don't think I've read a worse 3 words in my life.
Well, it selects because you don't need the legal target to put it on the stack.
No, as in your opponent.
Oh, yeah, you don't get to pick which one that they get the choice.
If this was just on enter, choose a forward, dull freeze everything else, delicious.
Yeah. Because...
And also, that's special?
No, specials...
Why are we paying 6 to deal 8k to 2 forwards?
No, I don't like the special.
This to me feels like it has 3... Like the card itself, if you read the text, you go, I'd like to try and make an argument for it. You know, I'm on the fence, blah, blah, blah. But to me, I'm looking at it going, it's a card named Yuna, therefore bad. It's a card with a job Gull Wings. The only card that has ever said Gull Wings is relevant is a card named Yuna. Therefore, really bad again.
Yeah.
It's Cat 10. This is not the Yuna you are playing in Cat 10.
No.
Although,
I agree.
If we're doing a titles deck, just go Yuna Tribal. And then you can just dull all of the Yunas.
Yeah, but you still have to pay the 2 ice and 2 color. I don't even think that makes it... Like, it's...
Like, you're paying 6 to deal 8k to 2 things. And also, if you're playing Una Tribal, you might as well run the Legend Una from Opus 11 and just cast all of the Cat 10 summons that you have access to.
Yeah.
Which is
I
valid.
did
Wait,
think
hold on.
about
You're
this, 'cause when
paying
it came out
6
that
or
I
you're
can-
paying... Oh, so yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's-
go on. No.
It's
Yeah.
I/2 and then S, which
So
means you have to
I
use
count
the
that as 7. I count that as 7 because you're dulling the card as well, or you're taking
don't
a
have
loss
to,
by
but, like,
dulling
She's
the
not a
card.
backup. She's not a backup, so it's not. Yeah, but if you dull Una, like the only saving grace this had for me in the first place, but then I looked at it again. I'm like, look, it's card name Una. It's going to 10. It's bad. But the only thing about accessibility that had some sort of redeeming factor was you can dull one active you may dull active Una. If you're playing Water Ice, you can do this 4 or 5 times, but 8k is not the number. If it was 9k,
And the fact that,
but
and because of that, it means you're probably targeting the same thing twice to kill it.
yeah, if it's a
Maybe,
big
yeah.
problem card, you're paying 6 and dulling an attacker to kill the problem card that they can, at this point in the game as well, turn around and say, cool, it gains 7k. Or doesn't receive damage, or can't be broken. Like, there's so many, okay, you invested so much for me to pay 2 or 3 and go, nah.
Yeah, I don't like this, but
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that situation was an outlier so much because I really don't like this card.
It was,
Yeah.
trust.
Last Well, 2 cost 5k forward. When Last Well enters field, if your opponent controls 4 or more dull characters, draw a card. Damage 3, Last Well gets plus 2k power.
Next.
Card
Yeah.
name last well.
Card name Laswell.
If it
This
was,
is actually the I think this is actually the worst card name Lastwell we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I would honestly though, if this was card name Rain even,
Oh,
Yeah.
because of the other last well, it would be okay to play, but
Yes.
it's not. It's
'Cause,
it's
like-
card name last well.
Like, this does everything that Fire Ice Knights want to do. Like, it's a cheap knight, draws you a card if your opponent has 4 or more dull characters. It's in the right category. It's got the right job. Why are you a Laswell?
Yep.
that's it.
Also, this just showcases how hard it is for Ice to draw cards. Like, 4 or more dull characters? Yeah.
We got Physalis, which is just better.
Ditch 1, draw 2, bro. Very good.
That's the end of the ice cycle. Any last comments about ice, or I think we covered most of it for that.
They got
Ice
a
is-
good card.
I think this is another case of Ice getting a whole bunch of stuff that is so close
Yeah.
but so far away.
I think they're really trying to set up ice as a support color, but not even doing that very well.
Look, in 2-3 sets, like Ice is at the point now that Fire was Opus 8.
Yeah.
Fire had 3 or 4 almost good cards, and then Opus 10 and 11 came out, and Fire just went, yeah, now we're in charge.
Yep.
Opus 20, Ice might be there, but for now,
We
No.
just gotta hope.
When Hell freezes over.
Ice still paying the price
yeah.
for the sins of Opus 5 and 6.
Well, yeah. That's what you get for printing Thaumaturge and Gasper.
so how do you justify Lightning?
How do we justify Lightning?
Just
Al
kidding.
Cid.
Just kidding.
Lightning's paying the sins of Opus 2.
Yeah, Al Cid, bro.